May I interest you in some pumpkin spice spam?
Yes.
You can take it home with you if you want. That's
now,
nice.
I mean, seriously.
Would you be interested in some pumpkin spice spam? Yes. You may bring it home if you choose. That's nice. I really mean it. Billy Bob Thornton has never cared what people in Hollywood think of him. He wore jeans to red carpet events, avoided interviews like they were bombs, and once said that acting was the least interesting thing about his life. He's written, directed, and acted in well-known movies and TV shows like Sling Blade, Bad Santa, and Friday Night Lights, but he's never really become one of them. That's likely why they believe what he says, because Billy Bob really means what he says. Not long ago he had a rare interview where he was asked one easy question: is there anyone you would never work with again? The answer came quickly, without any editing, and was strong. Yes. There are 5, maybe more, but there are 5 for sure, and I'll explain why. After that there was a long number of complaints. It wasn't a roast, it was a confrontation. A man who had been holding his tongue for decades finally said what he really thought. Even though Billy Bob Thornton has a cool southern charm and a rock and roll persona, he has been burned, used, put down and made fun of. He has seen companies turn art into computer code. I saw people smile on set, and then stick out their tongues behind closed doors. He didn't speak for years because of class, trying to stay alive, or being tired. Not any longer. He said that as you get older you realize that being quiet doesn't keep anyone safe. It just lets people keep doing the same stupid things. Which 5 names did he give you? Some of them are shocking, and some are very likely to happen, but all of them had an effect on Billy Bob's life and work in ways he says he will never forget. This isn't a rumor. Hollywood is now a little less noisy because Billy Bob Thornton is finally telling the truth. The co-star who didn't believe in his ability was Angelina Jolie. When they were together they were the most talked about couple in Hollywood. They were red carpet royalty with a wild side that made news and lit up tabloids. Angelina Jolie and Billy Bob Thornton had a rough and seductive relationship at first, but it didn't just end in broken hearts. Billy Bob says that things got worse. She didn't just leave. I never felt like I was good enough as a guy or an actor because of her.
Oh.
Movie fans all over the world know about their famous love story. Around her neck she wore a jar of his blood. They talked about how bad their sex life was in conversations. The names of each other were written on them. It was simple, wild, and uninhibited. Whatever happens tonight isn't going to change how I feel about anything, but I'm but. You know, it's always nice when you're but. Beneath the excitement, there was a slow-burning artistic as well as romantic split. They met on the set of the 1999 thriller Pushing Tin, and things got hot on and off the set. They got married in Vegas for a short time in February. But the storm was over in less than 3 years. By February 2003, the split was a fact. What no one knew at the time was how badly the split hurt them professionally and personally. Thornton said in his sit-down talk that it wasn't just a breakup. It hit me that someone I cared about never really appreciated what I did. He says that the worry started when Jolie's fame got bigger than his. She quickly became famous around the world with roles in Tomb Raider, Girl, Interrupted, and Oscar Talk. Sources say she started to see Billy Bob as a funny accessory rather than a creative partner. He said, I felt like I was being used as a novelty, like the weird southern guy she brought out to shock people. Thornton also says that Jolie's quiet criticism of his work, which didn't happen in public or in interviews, hurt more than the coldness.
Oh.
But when they were alone, with friends, or even on set, she would say things like, "You're more of a character actor." Yes. Or "You don't mind what people say about you." Not fans. Do you? It's the kind of stuff that gets to you over time. He is careful not to make her seem like a monster by calling her brilliant and a great performer all the time. But he couldn't stand it when she didn't care about his work. Not only did she not see me, she also didn't think anyone else should see me either. The last straw came when they were talking about her possible co-starring part in Billy Bob's political thriller, which he was said to be writing with her in mind. He was excited to work with her, and showed her the script. Her response broke his heart. After 10 pages, she gave it back. They said it was too manly, and didn't have enough subtlety. After that she offered to help punch it up, and I knew it wasn't about working together. It was all about being in charge. The movie did not happen. The marriage ended in a nice way. In Hollywood they never showed up together again. When asked about their relationship now, Jolie still avoids answering. She told a reporter once that we were different species. I had to get something else. But Thornton said that something else wasn't a change in relationships, it was a split at work. He said she then moved on to people she saw as equals. Oscar wins, directors, and donors. I no longer fit the picture. In 2017, a magazine asked Jolie which actor had had the most impact on her work. This may have been the most upsetting event. She said that Brad Pitt was her father, and named him Jon Voight. Billy Bob wasn't even a side note. Thornton says I didn't expect a love letter. It hurt though to act like I wasn't there. Since then they haven't talked. No calls, texts or polite chats at events for the business. While being interviewed, Thornton was asked about the people he would never work with again. Angelina's name came up right away. He told me that she is very strong, but I don't need to go back to a place that makes me feel like a guest at my own creative. A huge uproar broke out on the internet after the news came out. People who like their spooky website, fans of their gothic relationship were sad when it ended. Some people were not shocked. Some said she grew up with him. Others said she used him. What about the Billy Bob one though? I never saw her as anything other than a partner, and she saw me as a phase. He says that's what's sad. It's not finished, but it ended with a wipe. I can deal with sadness, but please don't change the past. History. Don't act like I wasn't there. Even though they have a violent past, we're in the news a lot, and were briefly Hollywood's most dangerous couple. Billy Bob Thornton has made it clear that he will never work with Angelina Jolie again because some betrayals are quiet. They are quiet, slow, and artistic, and they never fully heal. The second is Michael Bay, the director who said he was unexpected. As an actor, writer, director, and Oscar winner, Billy Bob Thornton, you might think he could work with anyone. However, Michael Bay is the only person in Hollywood with whom he won't even talk, let alone work. Bill Bob said it was like trying to paint a sunset while a car derby was going on. It's loud, messy, and doesn't get the point at all. Their fight didn't start with insults to each other. It began with a simple battle of vision that got worse over time. It started during the making of Armageddon 1998, a huge hit. We drill. We bring in the best deep core driller in the world. Billy Bob was chosen as NASA executive Dan Truman. He was one of the few characters in the movie who had to add emotional depth and drama to an otherwise testosterone-fueled disaster movie about an asteroid. He did what he was supposed to do. He studied NASA engineers, got ready, and worked hard to make his ideas seem real. Michael Bay, not a lot. This Bay thought that the best way to teach me was to make more smoke and blow something up behind me, while I talk about how the world is ending. Thornton later said that there was no room for ambiguity. There is no time for being sly. He didn't want actors. He wanted things that could talk to each other. Behind the scenes, things got worse. Several team members say that Thornton got more and more angry with the director's unpredictable shooting style. But the last-minute lines were changed. It was louder to hear the blasts than to talk. Emotional beats were taken out to make things louder, bigger and brighter. Bill Bob said, "I did one of the best takes of my life. Real tears. Scary things." In the video cut to Bruce Willis walking slowly while flames were behind him. I then understood that we were not making a movie. We had fireworks for sale. But it wasn't just about differences about how to make things. It got close to home. At a press junket months after Armageddon came out, Bay was asked about Thornton. He grinned and said, "Billy's unpredictable, sometimes brilliant and sometimes challenging. You could get anything." It was meant to be easy, but Thornton didn't see it that way. He said that wasn't a praise. He was trying to put the blame for his mess on me. It hurt Thornton to be called unreliable, especially by someone who, according to him, shot scenes like a kid with a sugar high and a flamethrower. Thornton likes to be organized, work with others, and be direct. After Armageddon, most of the chances to work together again came from companies that wanted to make another hit at the box office. Rumor has it that Bay thought about Thornton for a key part in both Pearl Harbor and 13 Hours 26. Thornton told his boss, "No way, even for a paycheck with 6 zeros." In fact, Thornton didn't think twice when asked on a show in 2019 which director he would never work with again. He said Michael Bay. "I'd rather be in a student movie that was shot on a flip phone." Still, Bay's fans say that he is a director who is focused on making money, and that his movies make money no matter how good or bad they are. But for Thornton, that is exactly what's wrong. He doesn't tell people what to do. He tells bombs what to do. You don't work with him. You will get through him. Thornton says that the real problem is that Bay shows a flaw in Hollywood, that values show over story and noise over plot. Thornton said that there is a group of filmmakers who think that bigger is better, but the movies I watched as a kid, like Chinatown, The Godfather, and Dog Day Afternoon, showed me the truth. They didn't yell nonsense. Sources close to both men say there is no ongoing feud, just hatred between them. Thornton has criticized Bay in public, but people who know him well say he thinks Billy Bob is overdone and too sensitive. In response, Thornton says that he thinks feeling should be added to the post. Thornton still likes the hustle, even with everything. He does agree that Bay knows how to pack a theater, but he doesn't want to be a part of a visual sugar high that doesn't have any soul. I want to move people, not give them something else to do. Their disagreement is not about style but about ideas. Thornton likes silences that say more than words, character and quietness. Bay believes in things like motion, kinetic energy, and shows made by computers. They won't work together even if you put them in the same room. This is known as creative warfare. Thornton didn't blink when asked recently if he would ever think about mending ties, maybe with a small talk or a cameo. When you're with that one person, you can build 100 bridges, but when he breaks them all, no more building. So Michael Bay has now joined Billy Bob Thornton's list of well-known bad guys. People don't always speak the same language, even if they are yelling from the same set. It's not because they hate or are jealous of each other. 3. Billy Crystal, the comic who made fun of his accent. Everyone thought it would be lucky for me to come out like them. There were some good men who told him to come out like a Marine. Billy Crystal, the friendly and funny Oscar host who has been a fan favorite for a long time, surprised Billy Bob Thornton fans the most when he said he would never work with them again. But Billy Bob didn't think of himself as someone who could make everyone happy. He was the one who laughed too much at a joke and never said sorry. Thornton added, "You can laugh with me, but that's where the line is when you laugh at where I come from and who I am." In February 2002 they met for the first time on a late-night interview trip. Thornton had just come off the success of Monsters Ball, and was now working on his own movie as a director. Crystal introduced Thornton with what seemed like a harmless jab while she was a guest host on The Tonight Show one night. "I think that's our next guest's real voice. It sounds like molasses and whiskey had a baby in a recording studio." People laughed. Billy Bob gave a tight smile. After that, Crystal kept going. He really tried to sound like he had a southern accent, said a few things about banjos, and ended with a joke about how Thornton wrote his plots on moonshine labels. Thornton later said it was one of those times when you feel like the whole room is tilting against you. You're just standing there while everyone laughs. The crowd thought it was funny, but it hit Thornton hard, not because he was insecure, but because it showed a real snobbish side that Hollywood rarely admits. He said it was fine to make fun of a southern guy, but I would be called a snob if I made fun of someone with an accent from, say, New York or London. When it's southern, all of a sudden it's funny. Thornton kept his cool on radio by responding with a dry wit, but he never forgot how it hurt or how Crystal was said to have shrugged it off backstage with a smile and a no hard feelings. "Yes," Thornton said that he thought it was all a joke, "but I didn't think that was funny. It was my voice, my roots, my dad, and my people." In later talks, Thornton has talked a lot about how she is seen differently in Hollywood, because she is rural, rustic or quirky, even when she is working on work that is up for an Oscar. He says Crystal's joke was just a sign of a bigger problem. "They never thought of me as Billy the actor. It seemed like the fact that I was born in Arkansas made me less of an adult." Years later, Thornton turned down an offer from a comedy awards show to give Crystal a Lifetime Achievement Award. He told the organizers to find someone else. "That one doesn't have a good ending." Even so, Thornton doesn't dislike Crystal. He even says that as a child, he looked up to him and liked City Slickers, thought he was a good host, and thought he could make a room feel cozy. "It's important to know when you've gone too far though," he said, and he never did. They haven't talked yet. No saying sorry. No shaking hands. It doesn't try to clear the air, and when asked if he would work with Crystal again on stage or screen, Thornton gave a simple no. If someone makes fun of the door you walk through, you don't call them back. Fans were shocked by the news. However, a lot of people, especially in the South, quietly agreed. The story was not talked about by Billy Crystal's team. Some people think it's from a long time ago. Some say it was just a joke, but Thornton is still strong. Putting someone down or making fun of where they are from in a joke is not funny, he said. I'm not interested in cheap things, and this is one of them. Over the years, Billy Bob Thornton has mastered the art of detail by playing everything from drunk mall Santas to quiet murderers and troubled dads. He has also learned that humor without morals is not comedy. He leaves when that line is passed. Fourth, Jennifer Aniston, the actress who called him tough. In Hollywood, people don't always build their names in the spotlight. They are often made up on the spot, with publicists passing them along to directors like dinner party secrets. Billy Bob Thornton said that Jennifer Aniston was behind one of the worst rumors anyone had about him. She didn't scream. She didn't slam doors. He said that she smiled, and then told everyone that I was hard to deal with. In the mid-1900s, they started fighting when they both acted in a dark romantic drama. It was a passion project for Billy Bob and a genre shift for Aniston, who was trying to get rid of her image as America's sweetheart. Based on the paper, the casting was electrical. Grace meets grit, but Thornton says the experience wasn't at all good. He said it was like oil and water. She wanted power. I wished for art. From the first day there was tension. Thornton used a method approach, staying in character between takes and focusing on natural, unexpected moments. This was very different from Aniston's steady, well-rehearsed pace. She was very good at time. He made a mess. She asked for more takes to make sure the camera angles were right. He said that it is already dead if you don't feel it the first time. Thornton says, I wasn't trying to be hard. My goal was to make a real movie. She meant to make a clean one. Still, he kept a straight face, until he overheard a conversation on set one day. A team member told Aniston that Billy is just very passionate. Aniston is said to have replied with a tight-lipped smile, or by being tough. It relies on who is seeing it. Thornton said that word in this business means death. Thornton saw that after the movie was over, the number of bids started to go down. The casting directors said they had artistic differences, and some scripts stopped coming together at all. The story got a name very quickly. He remembered that they said I fought with people. It was said that I was unstable, and that no one could trust me on set. Guess whose name keeps coming up? Even worse, Aniston didn't do much to stop the rumors. In interviews for the movie's promotion, she said nice things about her co-star, like how he was different, unpredictable, and not your normal scene partner. Billy Bob said, that is code. This is how you hurt someone without even speaking up. He was sad, but not because he lost his job, his friends say, but because he lost respect for someone he used to look up to. He said, I thought she was different. She really does play the game better than anyone else. After many years, Thornton was considered for a small part in a big group movie, which was the last straw. A last-minute call from someone inside the studio seems to have stopped the deal. Thornton said, they said someone in the cast wouldn't work with me. Who did you think was on the sign? Ellen DeGeneres. They didn't talk to each other again. Thornton says, he's not angry. Not long ago, there's a gap between being unpleasant and being committed. She knew the difference, but she decided to make it less clear. When asked directly if he would ever work with Aniston again, Billy Bob didn't think twice. He said, never. If you call someone tough, you can't expect them to act like nothing happened. People didn't know about the impact, but it was big. And in a place where names are very important, one whisper from the right person can last for years. Jennifer Aniston has never talked about it in a public way. When asked, her team didn't answer, but for Thornton, being alone is enough. He said, I can handle tough directors, awkward scenes, and even bad reviews. Fake friends who grin at you while cutting you in the same breath are something I can't stand. That's not playing. Hollywood is like that. And Billy Bob Thornton made it clear that he will never play that role again. 5. Tom Hanks, the one that hurt. Billy Bob Thornton started a list of famous people he would never work with again. Most of the people on the list caused him a lot of trouble, including artistic problems, dislike, and even public insults. What about this one? Though, it hurt a lot because Tom Hanks wasn't a competitor. He wasn't a co-star who turned bad. In a town where people bite their hearts like popcorn. Thornton used to look up to him as an example of how to be decent. He was someone you could trust, Billy Bob said. He would be at the top of the list of people in Hollywood who you think will always have your back. They met early in their lives when they were both going to award shows, and sometimes ran into each other backstage at charity galas or industry dinners. As Thornton puts it, Hanks was always kind and warm for years, until one event changed everything. In the mid-1990s, it happened behind the scenes at a big film event. Thornton had just shown a small independent film that he was going to direct. It was an honest, slow-burning Southern story that he put his whole heart and soul into. Hanks stopped by the green room for a short time. He was supposedly invited to be a guest speaker on the last night. Thornton said, "I was scared. I admire him. He's very big. I hoped that he would say something good," but when Billy Bob asked Hanks what he thought of the movie, he allegedly laughed and said, "It reminds me of Billy Bob." He was surrounded by producers and press at the time. "Do you get it? Dirty. It might be a little too much. Hey, that's your thing." Yes, for most people, it was just small talk, a brush off. Thornton. "It was a knife that looked like a charm," he answered. "I laughed because what else can you do when someone you look up to says something mean about you?" But the moment stuck with him, because it was Tom Hanks, and he had high hopes for it. Hanks was thought to be a good guy, an ally, and a legend who didn't get involved in power struggles. He also said that people who smile a lot can catch you off guard. After that, offers to work together, meet with the producer, and play ensemble parts started coming in. If Hanks' name was on any of them, Billy Bob turned them all down. He said, "I'm not mad, I'm just not acting any longer." He has never talked to Hanks directly. Until now he had never told this story. During the conversation, he wasn't shy when asked to name the person who shocked him the most and whose name still hurts years later. Tom said in a soft voice, "Not because of anything he did, but because of what I thought he would never do." Tom Hanks has never talked to Billy Bob Thornton in public. He might not remember that night. He might do, no matter what Thornton does. You don't have to yell at someone to make them feel bad. A smile and the right tone of voice are sometimes enough. Billy Bob doesn't have many enemies because of this. There are many people in it who have made him unnoticeable, even though he is right there. That quiet won't be broken with Tom Hanks. People's reactions to Billy Bob Thornton's list were quick and strong. Social media went crazy. Within hours, #BillyBobRaw was all the rage. The fights happened on Twitter, Reddit, and TikTok. Half of the internet praised him for being honest, calling it the most real moment in Hollywood in years. Not very nice. The other half, "He's just angry. This is the end of your career. Why are you talking now?" The true believers who stuck with him from Sling Blade to Goliath, on the other hand, were not angry. The process was over. One person said, "He's not talking about other people. In a business that depends on lies and fake smiles, he is finally being honest." Insiders also started to talk. Producers who had turned him down before were now thinking again. Other stars thanked him in secret and in silence. Someone who won an Oscar is said to have called him and told him, "You said what we've all wanted to say for decades." It wasn't well accepted by everyone. Jennifer Aniston and Billy Crystal's reps refused to say anything. A close friend of Michael Bay said the whole story was false and pointless. Bill Burr didn't say anything, but Hanks and Jolie didn't seem to care. He said, "I'm not looking for apologies, and I'm not giving any." Some people wondered if the confession was part of a bigger plan, like writing a book, saying goodbye, or making one last statement before retiring. However, Thornton says that he is not interested in getting attention. He wants peace and quiet. "Things like this have been with me for years. Before I checked out, I chose to leave it behind." Not only is he not asking for forgiveness, he is also not giving it. It's just out loud because for Billy Bob Thornton, being still may be great, but being honest is pure platinum. Billy Bob Thornton has never tried to get Hollywood's attention, and he's done acting like he did. He walked the red carpet in cowboy boots, turned down parts that other actors would have killed for, and wrote stories that fans would never forget, even if critics didn't get them. For every big hit he turned down, he put everything he had into another project. For every hard word, there was a show that made you speechless. He has lived his life away from the press, and now he is truly burning the script. He said, "I'm not angry. I'm done being nice.
This list of 5 names is not a tour to get revenge. It's not a hate speech. It's a warning that even in a business based on lies, there are still some people who are willing to speak their minds. It hurt his image, relationships, and roles, but it gave him peace of mind, which was much better. I've done wrong, he said. I've known I was wrong and been hard to work with at times, but I've always told the truth and never smiled while stabbing someone. For Billy Bob Thornton, this is what it means to be a stranger who never begged to sit at the table. He put honesty before making a claim. The curtain slowly falls on a career full of gut-wrenching acts and brave stories. He leaves behind one last thing, a truth teller in a town where silence is valued. It's okay if he never works with Jolie, Crystal, Bay, Aniston, or Thanks Again. Billy Bob Thornton doesn't need another movie to show how great he is. He's already done that, and he didn't even have to change his name.